Yeah, now we're continuing this series over here, and we're back in Italy again, where we're speaking and concentrating on the famous Italian rabbi, especially during the 1600s, 1700s, Rabbi Samson Morpurgo Z'tl, one of the great rabbis of his time, and very much we've spoken about many of the great rabbis he was connected to inside this magnanimous series over here, where it's going to be his Hilula over here. It happens to be this week here, as we are progressing in the festival of, let's just say, Passover, just came out of the first day of Pesach, respectively. And he was born, I believe, in the English is 1681 and passed away in 1740, I believe. And very interesting. It's interesting enough, he was 59 years of age when he passed away. Tetvav Nisan happened to be his Hilula, that happens to be on Pesach itself. It just came out of the first day of Pesach. And let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. Now, he's one of the great rabbis of Italy, the rabbi of the city of Ancona, which we've spoken about various occasions before. And he was born in an area called Gordisca in Italy. And his father was great rabbi, Rav Yoshua Moshe. And when he was even at a young age, I think he was only about 6-7 years, he would actually learn Torah, go to study in Venice, respectively. Remember, at that point in time, Venice had, let's just say, a galaxy of Torah learning, of printing, of publishing in of itself, and let's say it was a center of Torah in the world. He would pass through the city of Goriza and would stay at the Beit Midrash of the city's Rabbi Yaakov Hafetz, another rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before. He would spend a long window of time of several years, I think, in the Beit Midrash, and received, let's just say, the greatness of the foundations, the Yisodot of the Talmud from the rabbi of the city, and also was connected to the son of Rabbi Yaakov Hafetz, Rabbi Menashe Hafetz, who happened to be the brother-in-law of the famous Rabbi Moshe Hagiz. Now, it's actually interesting, Rabbi Menashe Hafetz was close to the student, and Rabbi Morpurgo would actually write about him from the highest term, stating about the Torah that he learned from him, and the respect he was given, and the education and the guidance that he got. And I think when he was about 13 years of age, he would arrive in the destination, the city of Venice, and he would study in the famous yeshiva of another great rabbi spoken about on various occasions before, the famous Rav Shmuel Abu Hab, who I think at that point in time was, let's just say, one of the great rabbis of Italy, and very much close connection to him. And Etzadat, I believe, is going to be written, I think, shortly after this period of time. I think Rabbi Menashe Hafetz at that point in time would become a prominent rabbi in Venice, respectively, and would continue learning from him. And Etzadat, a commentary, let's say, on the Keten Olam of Rabbi Yehuda HaPanini, would actually be based on it of itself. And later on, he would actually travel to Padua over there, continue progressing his studies, let's just say it himself. He would deal in the medicine field, and he would study also in the University of Padua, and would receive a doctorate, it was reported, over. He would engage in a lot of Torah studies in the local yeshiva, and practice medicine as a, let's just say, for a parnasa. But he really did devote a huge amount of time to Torah, halacha, and I think he was close to Rabbi Yehuda Bril from Mantua, and would learn with him very much, and they were a chavruta, I believe. And I think he was offered a position at one stage in time in Ancona, and he would actually, I believe, he would take that in of itself, and a very great prestigious position. He would be a rabbi, he'd be a dayan over there, he'd be a leader of the community, and was helping people, anyone that asked him within regards to various different important matters of Shiloh. It was reported that at one stage a plague would break out, and he was a volunteer doctor at that point in time to help within regards to saving many people's lives. It was reported over, and did a lot of self-sacrifice within regards to that. He would receive a certificate of appreciation, I think from Pope Benedict. I'm not sure which one, but one. I can't remember the number, but I think he was Archbishop of Ancona at the time. This Pope Benedict was, I think maybe he was Pope Benedict or Prospero Lorenzo Lambertini. I believe that was his full title. He would give him this, let's just say, this badge of honor in of itself, respectively. And very interesting. So he was in close connection with all the different people in Italy region and had appreciation from many of the people. Now, he passed away, reported over, on the 15th of Nisan, just before his 60th birthday. It was apparently a sudden death, and it shocked the whole of Italian Jewry at that point in time. Many of the great rabbis eulogized or really offered words of lamentation with regards to him, including the famous Rabbi Yitzchak Lampronti, who was another famous rabbi we've spoken about various occasions before, one of the great Italian rabbis of his time. He was a rabbi and a physician in Padua and Ferrara, respectively. And among the Jews of Ancona, there was a tradition of visiting his grave on the eve of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and a special tefillah was, let's just say, added to this specific occasion when there was, let's just say, when they would actually pray at his kever. And I think he was in correspondence with many rabbis at that point in time, dealing with, especially with the Ramchal, the famous Rabbi Chaim Luzzatto, who we've spoken about on various occasions before. That would, I think he was in connection with Rabbi Shaya Basan and various other great rabbis, which we have to point out also. Now let's explore some of the great books that he left us, because he left us, let's just say, various different responsa, writings of his sermon, various letters to the great different rabbis of his time. Many of it was printed. Some of it remained in manuscript. And I think it would appear in the book of the Pachad Yitzchak, if I'm not mistaken, some of his teachings, which was, like, let's just say, a halachic encyclopedia from the famous Rabbi Yitzchak Lampronti. Interesting enough, some of it will be featured there. Now, among his books include the Tzedkah, which was question and answers. I think it was based on 4 parts on the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, and it was printed, I believe, in the year 1733, if I'm not mistaken. This, let's just say, this Torah colossal work in himself. I'm not too sure the exact date. I think his son would actually print it, Rav Chaim Shabtai Morpurgo, very great rabbi, and I think it's featured in various different Sifrit libraries nowadays and in various other places. Then the Etz Da'at, which is Perush on the book Bechinat Olam of the great rabbi, Rabbi Yediyah Hapnini, another great rabbi I think we've mentioned about various occasions before, and which we have to point out. And I think a very different song also was actually included in it, if I'm not mistaken, by some of the great rabbis of his time. It's his Hilula here on Pesach. Among his descendants include Rabbi Chaim Shabtai Morpurgo and Rabbi Moshe Morpurgo, very great Rabbonim in itself. I believe the English date was the 12th of April in 1740, when he passed away. We're talking about around 285 years ago. The great rabbi passed away, great Italian rabbi from one of the great, let's just say, galaxy of Torah that actually took place in that specific point in time. Now, it's actually interesting just to talk about everything else. I think the epidemic happened to be influenza epidemic. It was in Ancona in 1730, and that's where he would receive the recognition from the Archbishop of Ancona. And I recommend everyone to look over his various different responses and his different manuscripts in of itself. And I think he would actually, at one stage in time, have objections to certain rabbinical decrees, and that would have been found in Giovanni Bernardo de Rossi, I think, in one of his books, if I'm not mistaken. And some of it would be featured in the Pachad Yitzchak, as we spoke about before. I think he received in the year 1709 his rabbinic diploma from the great Rabbi Leon Buriel, who was a chief rabbi at Mantua, just to, let's just say, to clarify within regards to the date in of itself. And he was close, I think, with another person, including Rabbi Yosef ben Solomon Fiammetta, who was a great Italian rabbi also in Ancona. And I think they would become related through marriage at one stage in time. When he was the rabbi, the chief rabbi, let's just say, of Ancona, it was a sole position, which way he was the only person inside that specific position, and he would actually, from 1721, I think, till he passed away, he would hold on the premiership, that very, very important world. So please don't forget to light candles in memory. Friends, we're a community here. We're learning about the great rabbis of yesteryear. We've already covered about a staggering 900 great chachamim from the various different Sephardic Italian countries. Please, if you're related to any of the great chachamim we are speaking about, please send me an email. I would love to hear more. If you are related to any of the rabbis, or if you feel anyone's interested in watching these videos, please share these videos to other people also, respectively. Wishing you all a good night. Take care. Here from Ramat Gan in Israel.